Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. It is halfway through January, which is super exciting. Time is flying by, but I just have such a great feeling about 2020. I just think such good things are going to happen, and I'm sending positive vibes to the universe. So I hope everyone is already having such a great 2020. You're achieving all your goals and feeling like you're living a happy and healthy life that you've always wanted. Today, I'm going to talk to you about letting go of control but feeling more in charge of your life by letting go of control. I think it's so hard to kind of determine, what we can and cannot control sometimes. And sometimes we try to control absolutely everything in our lives, and it takes over. Because of course, we have dreams, we have goals, we have things that we're striving for on a day-to-day basis. And it's true, we try to control everything, and maybe we don't even kind of necessarily realize that we're controlling everything, or we're trying to control things that are happening in our lives. But we do, and it can really take over things, and it can make us miss important things of life. And I just wanted to talk today about kind of letting go of that control, but really taking you're feeling more in charge. It's like you're letting go of control, but you almost feel like you're in more of control. I know that sounds weird, but learning to let go of control and just live life with a sense of adventure, but it's going to make you feel more in charge than you ever have. We have to find the balance between control and letting go of that control, and just letting the universe take over, letting our life just kind of go, letting things happen. It's just so much easier said than done, especially for a lot of people. Personally, I like to kind of know exactly what I'm doing at every single time. I have my day planner that I plan out basically by the minute. And it's been really hard for me, but it's one of my goals in 2020 is to kind of try to let that go a little bit, kind of just let things happen, try not to plan every single second of my life, because, we really need to let go of that and just let the world happen so that we don't miss any amazing opportunities that can be thrown our way. Sometimes we feel like the world is on a treadmill and we just cannot catch up. We're falling behind. It's just constantly running. And you just feel like you're so far behind and that you need to control everything that's going on because you feel so far behind. And it can just become kind of in this toxic cycle of never ending catching up, never feeling like you are where you're supposed to be, never feeling like anything is aligned. And I think it's so crucial to be for living a happy and healthy life is to just feel like you're in line with your life. You feel like you're in control without controlling absolutely every single aspect, because that's just not the way that we should be living our lives, right? We gotta have some adventure. We gotta have that sense of fun and letting go, and kind of just let things happen. So when you try to completely control absolutely everything, you're actually not as productive as you could be, because you're so kind of stingy and strict on what you're doing or what you need to be doing, that you're just not letting life happen, and you're missing opportunities. So when you're so focused on controlling things, maybe you're trying to do everything only for your career. Maybe you're kind of maybe you're going into 2020 and you're I'm going to boost my career. I'm going to let it take off. I'm going to work so hard. And so you kind of you get excited and you want to control kind of everything because you want things to happen. You're a go-getter. You want to reach your goals, and that's amazing and that's incredible. But you actually become so distant from the present when you're too focused on just controlling everything. When you're controlling your life, you're distancing yourself from the present, and you're not enjoying the journey as much, even though you're like, oh no, like I'm just dedicated, I'm focused, which is great. You do need to be dedicated and focused, but you also have to enjoy the journey and enjoy the road bumps and kind of let life take you where it's supposed to take you. So that's why we got to find that happy balance between controlling and not controlling. We have to recognize what we do have control over. Of course, we have control over ourselves. But that's basically it. We can't control what other people are doing. We can't control what the universe is going to throw at us. We can't control the weather. We can't control any of those type of things. If we have technical problems, if anything, right? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. We can't control basically anything else other than ourselves. And even parts of ourselves we can't control. You know, our emotions can take over, and there's things that kind of can take over and get in the way. You know, and we have control over the way that we look at things and the way that we go after our life and our goals, but there is still so many things that we don't have control over, even with our goals and the way that we look at things. Like I said, like our emotions and stuff can take over and kind of blindside us from what's really going on. We don't have control on like what happens after we go after something. You know, if you like go after a job, you do your best in your interview, you don't have control over who they're going to pick or what's going to happen. You only have control of yourself and what you're going to do. And it's hard because we do kind of try to control everything. We kind of try to plan out our lives. But we can't do it. We have to find that healthy balance, because sometimes it leaves us really disappointed when we try to control everything, and we kind of get obsessed. And then eventually we let ourselves down, and we feel really more disappointed. Especially like, you know, when you're in a bad mood, you're tired, you're feeling grumpy, and you kind of get down on yourself for feeling that way. You know, of course we have the ability to try and like adjust our emotions and how we're feeling. But if you had like a long 10-hour day, things kept going wrong, you spilled coffee on your white shirt, you know, you're sleep deprived, whatever it is, that is out of your control. That is just life taking over. You're so busy, you have a lot on your plate, you're exhausted, you had a long day, and like that's out of your control, and you kind of get down on yourself for feeling down. You know, but we can't always control those things. So that's another thing, like with our emotions and taking over, we can't always control those. And of course, when you're grumpy, tired, and feeling down, like you're wiped out, and like that is sometimes just completely out of your control. So we need to release our control, and we need to let life take the reins, you know, because you discover so many other things. When we only have like tunnel vision for like one thing, like I said before, like your career, like if you're just ready to jumpstart your career and that is your tunnel vision, like you might miss other like life opportunities that you're like not even thinking about, or like maybe even miss something for your career because you're so focused on like, you know, your plan A and this is going to happen, and like you're kind of checking off your list, and you miss things on the outside that could just benefit you in so many great ways. And we gotta release that and kind of just let life happen. You gotta let life kind of do its thing. And of course, you know, we need to control ourselves in the way that we perceive things, because we can't just kind of like say, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna let life completely take over. No, right? Because we're not gonna get what we want. We're not gonna be living the full life that we want and we need. But the thing is that, you know, we really do need to focus on finding that healthy balance. Because when you do find that healthy balance, you can find like a sense of clarity and what you really want in your life. Sometimes even just like for a few days, if you kind of just let go, you relax, you don't plan anything, you just like let life happen, like that is so amazing. And like you can discover so many great things about yourself and about your life, and like just like the adventures that you can take and the things that you can do. When we try to control everything, we become very overwhelmed, because it's like we have this giant checklist that is just like never ending. You keep adding on to it, and that just like kind of overwhelms us. We get stressed out. That's when we get in a bad, unhealthy mindset, because we're letting those things take over, and it's unhealthy, right? Like we're not enjoying the good things. Our mind can be all over the place, because we have this huge list. We're trying to do a million things at once. Instead of just like focusing on one and like letting things happen, we're trying to do a million things and it's overwhelming. And that's when we get this bad mental state and, we're not kind of functioning properly the way that we should. We're just really distant from the present. Our brain is kind of all over the place. We aren't focusing like on one thing, like I said, and we're just kind of scattered brain all over the place. And so we're actually not that productive, which is terrible because we want to be focusing on our goals. But when we're trying to control everything, it lowers our productivity and we don't get as many things done and we're actually not enjoying the ride at all. So it's so important to kind of learn to let go and to find that balance. We can have a pretty decent idea of what we can control and what we can't. So if we break it down and like look at our lives, we can feel pretty comfortable and at ease with the things, what we can control and can't control. But sometimes it comes down to just like sitting down and breaking the things down and like realizing what you can and you can't. And sometimes you do need to write a list and figure out what you can. And that way you can kind of break it down, see it more visually, have some more clarity, and more enjoy just the beautiful things that life throws at us. Life throws a lot of curveballs, but they can be amazing and it can be so beneficial. So it is time for a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. After the break, I am going to talk more about how we can let go of that control and how we can find that good kind of comfortable space between control and letting go, and just more about why it's so great to find that balance and how you're going to feel more in charge. So stay tuned.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. So like I said before the break, we can kind of have a good idea of what we can control and can't control, especially when we break it down and like kind of make it a little bit more clear for ourselves. But as times go on, time can pull us out of that mindset, which is normal, right? We can kind of get out of that trying to focus on everything, that list making, goal. But time can kind of pull us out of that mindset, and that's completely normal, right? But let's just say if things are going well in our career, of course we're going to be, excited and eager to like get going. We want to put our life into overdrive because things are looking up. Like, we're goal setting and we're achieving those things and we're going after those, right? So we pile on our plate with more and more to try and get there faster, right? Because we want to achieve these things. But to achieve more goals and go after it harder with more drive, that's when we begin to try and control things that we simply can't. So even after breaking these things down and finding what we can and cannot control, when we go into overdrive of just focusing on our goals, that's when we lose that mindset, right? Over time, we get carried away. I think we kind of get carried away very easily especially when we're focused on such a huge goal or such a huge part of our lives. And we lose the difference between what we can control and what we can't control. When we were once feeling so excited and ready, then now we're feeling like we're far behind and our drive is kind of completely crashed because we try to control too many things. We feel like we have to be our best 100% of the time, which comes from a good place a lot of the time because we get excited for life and we get eager to move forward. And that's when our unrealistic mindset comes in, even when we don't kind of realize it or recognize it. because we can't be 100% in every part of our life 100% of the time. We can't work out twice a day, get all of our work done, eat healthy, have a social life, achieve all our goals, reach for the stars. Like, it's too much. No one can kind of sustain that in a healthy way for long periods of time. And that's when we kind of let things take over, and then we get overwhelmed, right? We fall out of place in so many areas, and then all of a sudden our life begins to fall apart because we try to control too many things. So when everything begins to fall out of balance, we can be confused because it all came from good intention, right? We were trying to just achieve our goals, and then all of a sudden everything's falling apart. We just felt good, we were going 100% with everything, 110%, with everything. We were going so hard. So we had this picture in our mind of this perfect life we wanted and how we wanted it to look, that we kind of pull out all the joy in our life, and we're just focused on that to-do list, and we pull out the things that actually do make us happy. We can forget the things that do make us happy and the little things that we enjoy doing that just bring a smile to our face because we're just so focused. Or it can just simply take out the things, like the joy out of things that we that once made us happy, but now all of a sudden it doesn't make us happy anymore because it feels like a chore. It feels like a work because we've went into overdrive and we tried to control every single outcome or every single situation. When we're in power mode and we're feeling good, we want to get things done, and that's positive. We want to get those positive things done. It's going to help us advance in our life. But when we're trying to control everything, those positive things turn out to be not so positive anymore. We're taking the joy out of them, and it sucks because we're not able to live in the present and enjoy the things that we love the most before, and now it's just kind of work. It's kind of a chore. When we're so attached to control and controlling everything in our life, that's when our mind, closes off to different possibilities as well, because we get so attached to a specific outcome that we close our mind off to the other things that are happening around us, the other possibilities and opportunities that life is throwing at us if we just opened up our eyes and just kind of let go a little bit and realized our surroundings and just the endless possibilities that are accumulating around us that we just don't always see when we're so tunnel vision focused into what we're doing. Sometimes those things could change our life for the better hugely, but when we're so tunnel vision to one outcome, we'll never experience that. If we're so set on plan A in our life, this is what's going to happen, this, and this, and this is my checklist, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going to be in X amount of years, we close off our mind to a different possibility that could make us 10 times happier that we might have never even thought of before. So that's why we need to keep our mind open to everything possible. And of course, go after your dreams, go after your goals, but we have to find that happy balance. We truly never know what's around the next corner. As much as we try to plan everything, we don't know what the future is going to throw at us. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. We have no idea what's going to happen when we wake up in the morning. So when we try to control what's around the next corner, we might miss something so special and so incredible. And don't you want to enjoy everything that life throws at you? Don't you want to enjoy all the amazing things and make things happen for yourself, right? And so we have to find that healthy mindset and that healthy balance between control and letting go, but feeling more in charge with your life. I really think that we have to practice the art of surrender. And by surrender, surrender means to stop fighting. We have to stop fighting with ourselves and stop fighting with the universe and let that natural flow of things just take over. We have to stop resisting and pushing against reality because, we're so close-minded to what we think we want in life. So we have to take action from a place of surrender energy. We got to just surrender. When you put yourself in the mindset of letting go of control, letting the universe take over for lots of aspects of your life, you actually tend to feel more in control because you can see clearly what you can manipulate in your life, the things that you do have control over, and the things that happen because they happen, because that's just life. That is life throwing you a curveball. That is life happening. That is the world spinning. That is everybody doing what they can in this world, right? And so those things happen. So when we are able to let go of that mindset and we're kind of able to find that balance, we see more beautiful things in life. And we have more clarity of kind of what we want. A lot of the time we think we know what we want. But it's not always correct, There's always more out there that we don't see. We're like, oh, I'm not going to be good at that, so, I'm not even going to bother trying, or, that'll never happen, so I'm not even going to, put that in my mind. But I don't think we should have that. I think that we should have the mindset of letting everything in. And when we let everything in, you're going to feel more in control because you have options, I can do this. When you're confident and you believe in yourself, you can achieve those things. That is such a good feeling on the inside that you're going to be doing something, something new, exciting. It's always exciting to do something new. So when you tap into that energy, that ease, that flow, you let the world just spin. You focus on the things that you can. You control the things that you can. But you let everything else just keep rolling. Just keep spinning. Keep going around. When you're in that mindset and you're in that place, you're going to see so much more clear. Suddenly the world is going to make so much more sense. You're going to see so many more different possibilities. You're going to feel happier, blissed out, more in the moment. So take it one step, one breath at a time, release your control, and let life just roll. Let things just happen. Ease off and just kind of let the world spin. I think the main thing is that we try to control what other people do. We get so upset if somebody doesn't like us, or, if someone did something that's affecting us. We get upset at other people's actions and other things, maybe it's at a workplace, in our career, and we can't control what people do, and we can't control those things, but we let ourselves get so worked up by the things that we can't control, and then we try to control everything, and like I said, it's just a never-ending cycle. So if we can tap in to that energy, that ease, that flow, and just let those things kind of go, we're going to feel a weight lifted off our shoulder. Suddenly, we're not trying to make the world spin ourselves. We're just letting it spin by itself. We're letting things happen. But of course, we are focusing on the things that we need to focus on. But you kind of you have a more open and healthy mindset. So now, with all that being said, I do have some tips on letting go. Because it's easier said than done, I know, but I do have some tips to kind of help you get going with that. But it is time for another break. Stay tuned. I'm going to kind of break it down of some more ways that we can open up our mind, let go of control, but still feel more in charge of our life than we ever have before. So stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. So let's get right back into it. I'm going to jump into some tips to let go but feel more in control of your life than you ever have. So we have to, the first most important thing is recognizing, what we're so afraid of if we let go of control. So that way we can we can ease into letting go. So if you can pinpoint your fear and you can pinpoint where all of this control is coming from, because that's where it all starts. It's like, you got to figure out the root of the problem to actually fix it, right? You can't just fix the symptoms of it. You have to find out where this problem is coming from. So why are you so scared? What are you scared of, right? Specifically. And this is something I find, if you kind of just write it down, you get a visual in front of your face. Okay, I'm scared of this, this, and this, and this happening. You can kind of try to gain some more clarity. You can maybe gain a little bit newer perspective by breaking it down and having that visual in front of you of, why you're so scared of these things. So break down that fear and, why you're truly feeling like that. Just dig deep into your why. Why are you so scared? What are you scared of? What specifically, and when you figure that out, dig deeper, and then you're going to find a little bit more sense of clarity of things that you can let go of, and that it's okay to let go of these things, and you can find a little bit more of an ease. So break it down, recognize what you're afraid of if you do let go of control. And it's and maybe you'll find things that you can control and that you can't control, and you're able to just break it down, have that visual, and just dig deeper into why. Why are you so afraid? Where is it coming from? You got to figure out where this root of the problem is coming from. Is it coming from your own business, or is it coming from someone else's business? Because if we're scared of something because of an outcome from somebody else, we can't control that. And so sometimes we don't even realize that that's where the fear is coming from. It's not coming from something that is within us. It's coming from someone else's perspective or someone else's opinion or someone or some organization or something else that we have absolutely no control of, but we don't kind of realize that. So you got to figure out, is it your own business or is it someone else's business or something else? Is it you or is it something else? That's the key to kind of figuring out where this control is coming from, if it's somebody else's or if it's yours. So if you can take that in and you can deal with it, then you have more of a sense of clarity to let go of it. We can't control others. We can't control what other people are doing or some other things in our lives, but we can control ourselves, like I've said, and we can control what we do, and we can kind of control what we do with this information. But a lot of the time we are trying to concentrate and change what someone else is doing, and we might not even kind of realize that we're doing that. We don't see things that are truly out of our control. So we kind of gotta break it down first. What are we afraid of? Why? Dig deeper. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from my own business or someone else's business? And kind of once you figure that out, you're going to feel a lot more clear. You're going to feel this kind of sense of you know what? I think I can tackle this. I think I can't tackle this. I need to change my mindset, whatever the case may be. It's also really great to consider, the things that you do have control over. So if you're worried about something, focus on those things that you do have control over. And, so if you know what we always have control over, then that's great. And I find that the one thing that we do have control over is the way that we think about something. We have control over thinking positively about something. Sometimes our emotions are trying to drag us down. We have that devil on our shoulder that's trying to make us think negatively, oh my gosh, I can't see the bright side. But we do have control over seeing the brighter side of things. And so we need to tap into that and focus on that positivity, because positive thoughts are going to lift your spirits and let you live the life with more ease and happiness. Because happiness is what we all want, right? I think that's something that we all strive for. We all strive to live a happy and healthy life. So consider the things that you do have control over and be real with yourself about those things, Sometimes it's comforting to just recognize what we do and don't have control over. Like I said, breaking it down into a list. And then more importantly, what is healthy to have control over? If you're I could have control over this, but it might take over XYZ part of my life, is that healthy to do that? Or, I do have control over this, but it's going to take a toll on my mental health or how I'm going to be feeling about myself or something like that. So once again, you've got to be honest and realistic with yourself about what you can control, what's healthy to control, and what's not. And so where do those things come from? Another thing that we need to do is just be flexible. I don't mean to touch your toes, but I mean just literally just be flexible with life. Be ready to bounce back from whatever life throws at you. Be ready to, problem solve on a different spectrum that you never thought of. Be ready to think about these things and go after these things that you never would have before. It's good to just kind of be flexible and be able to bounce back and be versatile with things that life is happening. This connects with picking yourself back up and just being proud when something knocks you down. Be flexible enough to stand back up and go after it again, or go after it in a different approach, whether you can control it or you can't control it. You got to understand your lows and take those as times of growth. And then, maybe it's just an added step to your journey called life. It's your added step. You had to take an extra step. You had to take a little bit of a detour, but you're still going to get to where you want to be. You just got to pick yourself back up, brush yourself off, and keep going 10 times harder. But it's good to recognize, that you can be flexible and that you can bounce back from anything. So how about this? Ask yourself if letting go would feel like freedom. The next time you're trying to think of something, if I just let go, would this feel like freedom? And I bet you that it does. And who doesn't want to feel free? Feeling free can feel like the most control ever. We have to understand that perspective and just kind of let life just go. Believe positive things will happen to you. Send that positive energy out to the universe, and then you're going to receive the same. But being hostile with yourself and the world by trying to control everything will not help you get to where you want to be. You will not be living the life you want, because life is supposed to be fun and free and adventurous. We're supposed to, of course, go after our goals and drive for things and focus on what we want in life, but we have to enjoy every single step. We have to find that balance. I know it's crazy. Life is crazy, but it's fun. It's a roller coaster of great things, amazing things. And of course, there are some lows, but we have to take those areas as growth. We have to see those as growth opportunities. So when you let things go and something happens that you don't want, then you need to trust that that's just the universe giving you an opportunity to grow and strive in life. And if you can go through life with that mindset that this is knocking me down because this is teaching me a lesson, I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to be a better person after this. I am going to, have different dreams, different perspectives, different aspects, learn new things. If you can go through life with that kind of mindset, you are going to just enjoy every single second so much more. So just let go of the thought, that we have to control everything, and that, when life knocks us down, that's a negative thing. It's not a negative thing, and it might feel terrible for a little bit, but we can pick ourselves back up and we can be a better, stronger person because of it. So let go of that negativity and breathe in the positivity. Is there anything right now that you can think of that you felt like you absolutely had to do today? Okay, so think of that and now just let that go. Relax into the unknown. Let go of the thought that you need to get that done today, and recognize that the world is still spinning. You're still breathing. Everything is okay, and life is going to continue to move on. Just relax into the unknown. Now, with that being said, I do believe, that we do need to make our own opportunities sometimes. Hence how it's so important to find that balance between letting go and control. But I believe that we need to go after what we want. And if it's not an option, then we can make that option if that's truly what we want and what we think we deserve and what we need. But we need to do that with a healthy mindset. Not with the mindset that we need to control everything to make that opportunity to get what we want, but just the mindset that I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try my hardest to make things happen. But that doesn't mean I can control the outcome. I can't control every situation. Make your own path. We have to learn the difference between creating our own path, going after what we want, and then trying to control everything that happens on that path. We can pave our own path. We can mark our own trail, but we can't determine what's going to happen down that trail. And we need to have that healthy mindset within that. The universe works in mysterious ways, and we have to trust that everything happens for a reason. So sometimes we just need to sit back and enjoy the ride. Life is wonderful. It is great. It's filled with lots of mountains and valleys. Things we cannot control and things we can. The importance of finding that balance is just so crucial to living a happy and healthy life. That is all the information that I have for you today on letting go of control, but feeling more, in charge of your life than you ever have. Find that healthy mindset, find that happy medium, that balance, and you're going to be breezing through life and enjoying every single moment, all the bumps, all the highs, and the lows. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I hope today kind of gave you a little extra drive in life and a little bit more of a new perspective of what we can and cannot control and finding that balance. I had such a great time sharing this information with you. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, like and follow us on social media, and leave a 5-star review because it helps so much and it's greatly appreciated. Till next time, I am looking forward to it. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.